Hello, Presidents and Vice Presidents. This video will serve as a guide to crafting your constitution for your student organization. In this video, we will discuss the importance of a constitution, the structure, the four mandatory clauses, storage and distribution, and assessing your constitution. The Council of Presidents wants to ensure your organization's success by supporting your organization and guiding you through the process of crafting a constitution by teaching the proper elements, providing guidance, and supporting your organization on its journey to success. First, we will go over the importance of a constitution, which is a guiding document for your organization. A constitution should ground your organization, help resolve conflict, allow for flexibility and change, foster organizational growth, and encourage intentionality. It grounds your organization by clearly stating the mission and the purpose. It helps resolve conflict by detailing the process for removal and the appeal for officers and advisors. It allows for flexibility and change because amendments can be made to your constitution as your organization grows and faces new challenges and potentially pivots. It fosters growth and encourages intentionality by making sure that programs and events align with the mission and the purpose of your organization. Your constitution is going to include the following components: the name, the purpose and objective, affiliation, the adherence clause, membership, non-exclusionary clause, the categories of membership, meeting structure, officer qualifications and positions, advisor qualifications, finances, amendments, hazing policy, nonprofit clause, and the method of dissolution of your organization. Your constitution will begin with a header and the name of your organization. In the header, you will state the Constitution of the name of your organization of North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. Then you will state the name and any abbreviations or nicknames associated with your organization. In the second article, you will discuss the purpose and objectives of your organization. Things to consider are: why does your organization exist? Why is it needed at North Carolina A&T? What are the objectives? You want to provide examples of objectives of the organization without going into minute details. Make sure that the activities of the organization support the purpose and the goals. This is used to guide programming and community service and ensure that it aligns with the organization's mission. In the third article, you will include one of these statements of affiliation. Some organizations are affiliated with a national, state, or local chapter or organization, so you will choose a statement that best fits your organization. The adherence clause is a mandatory clause for all student organizations, and it will be provided later in this presentation. Next, you will discuss membership. This will include the non-exclusionary membership clause, categories of membership, membership removal, and the membership appeal process. The non-exclusionary membership clause is a mandatory clause for all student organizations and will be provided later in this presentation. For the categories of membership, you want to define active, inactive, and alumni, community, or honorary membership. We suggest limiting active and voting members to currently enrolled students at A&T. If not, what would make someone be categorized as a community member? What are their requirements? What is the attendance policy, and what privileges are granted? For the removal process, you want to state the grounds for removal and outline that process in a step-by-step manner. Include the proper notification, voting procedures, and if an appeal process is available. For the membership appeal process, what is that step-by-step process? How long does someone have to appeal? And what vote is required to reinstate that member? For removal and appeal process, you want to outline the vote that is required to remove or reinstate a member. We recommend either a 2/3 or a 50% plus one for a simple majority vote. In the next article, you want to discuss meetings and include sections on meeting details, meeting structure, and quorum. For meeting details, does your club have meetings, practices, conferences, which are required, and you want to set expectations and be sure to mirror those in the member. For the meeting structure, Do you follow a set structure like Robert's Rules of Order, or do you have a free structure? How are your meetings run, and who has parliamentary authority? Quorum is the minimum number or percentage of active members you need in order to conduct official business and vote. It should be high enough to get a critical mass without being too difficult to obtain. Two-thirds or 50% plus one is suggested to constitute quorum. In the officer section, you want to list the executive committee responsibilities, the election process, removal procedure, officer appeal, and replacement process. You should list the specific responsibilities and duties of each officer so that their role is clearly defined. Make sure that that position is worthwhile and has duties that are worthwhile. And think of positions that may be unique to your organization. Some organizations may require other positions outside of a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. So this might be an event coordinator or a content creator. So these are things you should consider as you craft your constitution. For the election process, what is the nominating procedure and when do they occur? When do elections take place? What is the voting procedure? How long can someone hold office? When is the shadow period? You also want to identify the vote that is required for an officer to be voted into office. For the removal procedure, state the grounds for removal in a step-by-step manner, include proper notification, voting procedures, and if an appeal process is available. If an appeal process is available, make sure to state that step-by-step process and outline the election process for the replacement of that officer. In the article discussing your advisor, you want to state the qualifications, the responsibilities, the removal procedure, and the appeal process. For the qualifications, state that of an appropriate advisor. Should they have knowledge in a particular interest area? How is an advisor selected? How long can they serve? So for a professional organization, for example, you might want an advisor with experience in that same professional area. How are they selected? Some organizations have advisors that are selected by a department or by the students. So how is that? Are they voted in? Are they just selected? Does the president choose? What does that look like? And how long can they serve? In the responsibility section, include the advisor's functions and duties, their attendance at organizational meetings, executive board meetings, and advisement regarding university policy. This should include that they are familiar with the North Carolina A&T State University Student Code of Conduct, OSA student organization and policies, and other institutional guidelines that establish expectations for student behavior and activities. For removal and appeal, you want to state those step-by-step processes and the vote required to remove or reinstate an officer for a Committees are going to be optional based off of the nature of your organization. You can have a standing committee or an ad hoc committee. A standing committee is going to exist for the entire duration of the organization, while an ad hoc committee is temporary. Examples of standing committees include an executive committee or a fundraising committee. You want to discuss who oversees that committee, what are the duties of that committee, whereas in an ad hoc committee, an example might include an event committee and how is that chair chosen, what vote is required, and how long is that committee going to be in place for. Next, you want to discuss the finances. This should include sections on budget authority and dues. You want to discuss who keeps, maintains, and reports financial records. This will likely be your treasurer. Your dues. How is that decided? How often are they paid, and is voting required? How often do you vote? And is it a step fee from year to year? For amendments, you want to state the process by which amendments are brought before an organization, the minimum length of time necessary before voting can occur, and the number of votes required to amend the Constitution. Next, you will include the hazing policy and the nonprofit clause. Both of these are mandatory for student organizations, must be copied verbatim, and are provided later in this presentation. Your constitution should conclude with the method of dissolution. You should copy this statement and fill in the necessary items, including the name, the vote required, who assets will be released to and relocated to if your organization dissolves. So, as we discussed, there are four mandatory clauses for all student organizations. This includes the adherence clause, the non exclusionary clause, the hazing clause, and the nonprofit clause. The adherence clause states that this organization will adhere to all university rules, regulations, and policies, as well as to all local, state, and federal laws. All fee-sponsored programming must be open to the entire university community. All student organizations and their leaders must further comply with the North Carolina Anti-State University Code of Student Life, university policies, and applicable state, federal, and local laws. Your student organization will choose a non-exclusionary clause based off the nature of your organization. If your group does not select members on the basis of a commitment to a set of beliefs, you will say, it is the policy of North Carolina Anti-State University and insert your name of organization that this organization practices an open membership policy for members of the university community without regard to age, color, disability, national origin, race, religion, military service member or veteran status, gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity unless exempt under Title IX. If your group does select members on the basis of a commitment to a set of beliefs, we will copy this statement. It is the policy of North Carolina Anti-State University and the name of your organization that this organization practices an open membership policy for members of the university community without regard to age, color, disability, national origin, race, religion, military service member or veteran status, gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity unless exempt under Title IX. Student groups that select their members on the basis of commitment to a set of beliefs may limit membership and participation in the groups of students who, upon individual inquiry, affirm that they support the group and agree with its beliefs, so long as no student is excluded from membership or participation on the basis of his or her age, race, color, national origin, disability, religious status, or historic religious affiliation, military veteran or service member status, sexual orientation, or unless exempt under Title IX, gender. You also should include your hazing policy, which states that it is unlawful for any student in attendance at any university, college, or school in this state to engage in hazing or to aid or abet any other student in the commission of this offense. For the purposes of this section, hazing is defined as follows. To subject another student to physical injury as part of an initiation or as a prerequisite to membership into any organized school group, including any society, athletic team, fraternity or sorority, or any other similar group. Any violation of this section shall constitute a Class 2 misdemeanor. Please refer to the North Carolina State University Student Handbook for the university's full policy on hazing. Lastly, you will include the nonprofit clause. You will include the organization name, state that it is organized exclusively for charitable, religious, educational, pleasure, recreation, or scientific purposes, including for such purposes similar to organizations that qualify as exempt organizations under either Section 501c3 or 501c7 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1954. No part of the net earnings of the organization shall inure to the benefit of its members, directors, officers, or other persons, except that the organization shall be authorized to and empowered to make payments and distributions in furtherance of the exempt purposes of the organization. The university has no responsibilities for the financial or fundraising activities of the organization. The organization further agrees and accepts sole responsibility for any tax treatment, consequences, record keeping, or filings required for its activities pursuant to state or federal laws. In the event of dissolution, remaining funds will be handled pursuant to established university policy. Once you have all sections in your Constitution and all mandatory clauses, you want to properly store your document and distribute it to all parties. You should upload your Constitution to 1891 Connect, file it in your organization's binder or folder, whether this is a tangible folder or it is digital, distribute it to your e-board advisor and to all members. Your Constitution should be easily accessible, serve as a reference, and it should be edited and updated periodically. 1891 Connect is a central place for important documents and is easily accessible for advisors, members, and future e-board members. It makes transition easier and the e-board can easily refer to that document. It is also a reference for e-board when problems or difficult situations arise because it outlines the precedents and how things operate, as well as ordinances and procedures. Lastly, you should want to assess your constitution. Are the advisor and executive board requirements clear? Are your four clauses present? Is the protocol for dues clear? And are there details about financial accounts? You want to make sure that all sections that we previously discussed are present in your constitution before implementing it for your student organization. You can always visit the Council of Presidents for an individual constitution review. Beforehand, make sure that you copy the four clauses, assess your organization's purpose, define your e-board members' role, define the advisor's role, and evaluate operating procedures and protocols. You can contact COP eBoard at ncat.edu to schedule your one-on-one constitution review. Thank you for this presentation, and always feel free to reach out if you have questions or concerns.